Welcome everybody to another edition of the In the Paint Show presented by Ballislife, episode 136. This is Ronnie Flores with my co-hosts Umana and Chelsea Hopkins. Got a lot to talk about today. Should be a great episode again. Thank you for listening in and tuning in. Chelsea, how's everything going this morning?
Going good, Ronnie. I'm excited to be back with the boys. I got to hang out with you a couple days ago. You know, Ani kind of flaked on me, but I'll catch up with him next time. But otherwise, I'm here. I'm ready to go.
Yeah, my bad, Chelsea. I got you next time. I'm going to be in Vegas next month.
We're going to see. We're going to see if I find you.
Here you go.
What are you in Vegas? So tell us a little bit about the event. I think it's the weekend of August 10th to 12th.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the Circuit League, they're running two things. So they got a tournament going on and they got a camp. So the tournament is going on the 10th, and I think the 10th through 12th. It finishes at the 12th. And they're also going to be running a camp, a Hidden Gems camp as well. So right now they got about 70 teams in the tournament, and then the camp that's kind of rolling. I think it's over 50 now. They're sending out invites, and they got me speaking. So I'm gonna have to write out my I won't say write out my speech, just make sure I'm not cursing a whole lot. You know what I mean? And but yeah, it's just so I'll be in Vegas for about 3 days from the 10th to the 12th.
Great. That'll be good. I'm sure I'll be around. I'll be there. Obviously, that weekend, too, we got the Elite 24s coming back. That's supposed to be in Chicago's Lakefront.
Plan to go to that, too.
You're going to go over to that as well?
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to be busy, man. You're not going to see Chelsea. You're going to miss Chelsea.
I won't miss Chelsea. I'm going to get with her the 10th and 11th.
Okay. All right. Okay. I'll be waiting.
Great. And then you're out of there. So that'll be something new, something exciting. Obviously, the main difference, I think, than when it first started, it started in 2006. We've talked about it before, is now there's a girls component. Obviously, if you're going to do an event of that scale now, it's going to include girls. I'll give you guys a little bit of insight. I was part of the selection committee when it came out. It was in New York, Rucker Park, 06, 07, 08, 09, and then it went to LA for 3 years, and then it went back to New York. And then in LA was at Venice Beach. And people did tell us at the time, like, you guys are going to do a girls' game? We were like, do you know how much work this is? Like, and how, like, we were like, it just wasn't there yet. But in today's time, it makes sense, The event lasted to 2016. And then when Steph Curry became kind of like a global icon and Under Armour's main ambassador, obviously, like, they started the Steph Curry camp, or kind of morphed into the Steph Curry camp. Oh. And that event came to an end in terms of being outdoors and, like, having like an all-star game format, came more of a camp with the top players there. Right. And that was in the Bay Area. But I believe, it was great. I have a lot of great memories. I'm sure a lot of the kids are going to enjoy it. Obviously, the calendar is full. And we have a lot to talk about on this episode with, the calendar has been going. We got the live period coming up later this week. But we're going to start off probing the paint just with some various topics that happened in basketball. Obviously, we saw the summer league, and there was a lot of basketball besides the summer league. But Chelsea, I got to ask you, what did you think about these young guys in the NBA and some of the comments they're making? They're just kind of off the cuff comments, and they might be in good fun. But I guess people are like, "Whoa, what did you just say?" So talk a little bit about that.
Man, these young guys, they got a lot of confidence, Ronnie, and I respect it. But the way they kind of throw around some of these legends' names, they gotta slow down a little bit. I caught Ja Morant's comments when he did his interview with Taylor Rooks, just talking about Michael Jordan and how he thought that he would still be a superstar, but according to him, there's a lot of superstars in the league, and he would just be one of those guys. So he kind of made those remarks. Obviously, it went viral. People heard about it. I personally see what he was trying to say, but I definitely don't agree. I mean, you can't just throw Michael Jordan's name around like he's an average, Joe Schmo. But I do see what he was trying to say, just about, different eras. Obviously, Michael Jordan was head and shoulders more athletic than pretty much anybody in the league at the time. And Ja Morant was just making the point that, we have a lot of athletes and the skill is at an all-time high. I don't think Michael Jordan faced those caliber of players in his opinion. So he just feels like Michael Jordan would obviously be dominant. He would be one of the obviously better players in the league, but he just doesn't. It didn't seem like he felt like Michael Jordan would be like the GOAT, basically. So I don't agree. I mean, Ani, I'll let you chime in a little bit on it. But from my standpoint, I see what he was trying to say, but I think he's wrong.
Yeah, no, he's wrong. I mean, first off, if you plug Ja Morant in the 90s, like, I think people understand you have to play within the 90s rules in the 90s game. Like, the pace is a lot slower, right? Like, you're not getting up and down like that. The zoning fouls, like, you couldn't play help side defense like that. Guys would empty a side and you basically go one-on-one isolation. He's not a very good defender in today's. So, like, in the 90s, where they're going to isolate you, and let's say you're guarding MJ, you're going to get torched for 50. He would obviously still be a really good player, right? Like, he would be a superstar in the 90s. I agree with him on that. But, like, he wouldn't – the game is so different when you talk about 90s to now and just how the game is played. Like, plug yourself there, you're not playing like how you do now. Now, what he has and his skill and athleticism will make him really good. But MJ wouldn't be no regular dude. You know what I mean? Like that's ridiculous. Like, I don't know. Just it's like you're saying it without even really thinking. You know what I mean? That's
and he's saying it too. Sorry to cut you off, Ani. Like,
are you good?
Somebody that's like he's being interviewed by somebody that he knows well, and they're just it's like, is this a serious interview or are you guys just chit chatting? You know what I mean? So people take it like, this is a sit down serious interview, like it's on Nightline or something, like, but it's really just two people that kind of know each other chatting. So people, it gets a little taken a little out of context, probably. Like, but like you said, if you mention Michael Jordan, people have an opinion. It's just like if somebody mentions LeBron, there's a few people that no matter mention them, somebody's going to have a strong opinion about it. It's funny. I saw this picture, and obviously, like. Younger fans, they like to make fun of some of the guys Michael Jordan was like just driving by and he's holding the ball because he can palm it so easily. And like Michael Jordan is just holding the ball out on Gary Payton, and Gary Payton's trying to reach over to hit, to try to like slow him down. And everybody's like, this is Ja Morant. This is what it's Ja Morant is smaller than Gary Payton. You know what I mean? Like, I think that boy was it's just a totally different game, No 3-pointers, a lot of less open court dunks, a lot of less open court plays, so that's pretty funny. I think that, I like to see the confidence of a young player, but it also shows the age. I think more for me, it just shows how much time is passing by.
Right.
Like, I think more than anything, like Ja Morant was probably, how old is Ja Morant? Is he 24?
Probably 24, 25.
Yeah, 24.
Ooh, so he was born, 1998 or 1999? Like, he just
96 probably.
Maybe 96, 97. Like, he didn't really even see it. You like really didn't even see it. So you don't think that. For me, it just doesn't seem like that much time that long ago, but I guess it is. Like, that much basketball's passed. So, and then Bennedict Mathurin, you got to love his confidence. What do you think on him? I mean, he's obviously the young kid from Arizona. He had a great season, and obviously he played in the summer league. Seemed like he did pretty well. What do you think about him?
I don't take it serious. Like, I don't think he's serious. You know what I mean? Like, oh man, I think I'm the best player in the league, and I got to see what LeBron's about. Like, who the hell are you? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you haven't done a damn thing but had some good summer league games.
Yeah.
Look, he's going to be a good player in the NBA. Let's not get twisted. Like, he could be pretty good, but I think sometimes we're just, when you talk about confidence, and we talk about being delusional, right? And like, he's on the delusional side. You can't mess with LeBron James. You know what I mean? Like, LeBron James doesn't have to show you anything. Like, you need to show, like, first, before you go to LeBron, like, show your actual team that you're with right now that you can even crack starter minutes. Like, you know what I mean? Like, let's get there first before we talk about LeBron James. That's my opinion. Like, it's just delusional. Like, I don't believe he really believed what he was saying. Yeah. Correct.
I kind of feel a little bit like that about Ja Morant too. Like, you know what I mean? His dad or somebody will just joke with him and say, boy, okay, that's fine. His uncles.
Yeah, I think sometimes they just think it's cool to kind of stir the pot. Say something controversial, see how people are going to react to it. Like, come on. I understand that, you want to be confident and you want to tell yourself stuff because maybe you think that might help get you going, later on down the line. But at the end of the day, LeBron's proven in the league, 20-year vet, done everything he's possibly could do. Like, you got to come in there and compete and just say you're excited for the challenge, to be able to guard a dude like that. But does anybody expect you to have a lot of success doing it? No. So let's start there,
Yeah, makes sense. Speaking of LeBron, obviously he's always going to draw
Right.
a lot of attention or whatever he does. He played in the Drew League, played for the first time in the Pro-Am, probably since the lockout. And he had a really good game, and everybody goes, oh, what do you think if LeBron just showed up to your run? It's like, this is not just an open run. Like, this is well established. Players play in the league all the time, and there's good players. I would say, seeing some of the summer league guys, some of those guys they're not far out from those guys. But everybody's acting like LeBron just randomly went to a pickup game and like there was 9 bums on the court and he just dominated. Like, no, I don't know where that came from, or people are maybe not paying attention. I think they got to know. You got to know the Drew League, right? Who doesn't know the Drew League if you know the basics about basketball? I don't know. Maybe you guys have a different opinion, or maybe you guys, the headlines are just eye-catching headlines. DeMar DeRozan was playing. Other pros play all the time. So, I don't know. What did you guys think?
Chelsea.
Oh, okay, I'll take it. The Drew League is one of the most respected, basketball leagues, I would say, in the country. In terms of, just that type of play. LeBron showing up, I think it was a treat, obviously, for the fans, him playing for the Lakers. Super exciting to have him come out. And, like you said, players play in that league all the time. DeMar DeRozan, being from California, he's in the league. I still remember Nick Young, who was always playing in the Drew League. So they have, pro players, and a lot of the guys that also participate are guys that play overseas. So this is not just a YMCA random pickup game. Obviously, you don't really expect LeBron, to play in this type of run, but, I don't think it's crazy. I think him, trying to embrace the LA community, going to this type of run, and just, it's a cool thing for the fans and the Laker community. So I was excited to see him there. I thought he had a good game. I didn't get to watch every part of it, but, he finished with, I think, 42 points?
Yeah.
A lot of missed threes, but they said he had the fadeaway going, a lot of dunks. But I really appreciated that the guys were out there competing against him, though.
Yeah.
People were making comments about one of the guys that was guarding him. I think his name is Dion, but everybody on Twitter was referring to him as Richard Jefferson and just all kinds of just crazy nicknames. But he was out there competing, and it was good to see. Like, Bron's there to put on a show, but him and his team were there trying to win, and Bron and them barely pulled out the victory. So just imagine if he didn't win, or if he didn't show up, who could have won that game. So I thought it was pretty cool. I don't think you're going to see him do that again. So it was definitely a treat for the fans, and it was a packed house, standing room only, from what I could see.
Yeah. No, I loved it that he participated, and like you said, Chelsea, it's probably the last time he'll ever do anything like that. So I think for the people to experience that, and just for us to see that, I think it was just dope for him to come out and do that, and for people to say like plumbers or whatever. Like, I don't know if he's just trying to paint a narrative, but like, it's like you said, overseas players, there's former NBA guys that are playing in the Drew League. I mean, it's a high level, like pro-am event, and like I just think it's funny when I read those headlines of people talking, because I'm like, some of the people that are saying that stuff, I'm like, okay, if you played in that, you wouldn't score a bucket.
I have no idea. Like,
killed out there. Like 99% of people saying that would get killed out there.
Yeah.
So like, do your research, or you just want to say something to spark something up, cool, but those are pros. Those are guys that made or make money playing basketball at the end of the day. Those are not plumbers,
No. Dion Wright, he's a professional player. And like you said, Chelsea, they won by 2. LeBron scores 42. Like, they barely won by 2.
Yeah.
So, it's good competitive basketball. It's great to see him out there. Speaking of competitive basketball, Chelsea, talk to us a little bit about Nike Nationals on the girls' side. Obviously, your team, Team Tarashi / the Mob, went out there. You went out there during the time the WNBA All-Star game was out there. So talk a little bit about that.
Yes, 2 Saturdays ago, Chicago was rocking. I mean, we had the WNBA All-Star game going on in Wintrust Arena, and then literally right across the street in the convention center, McCormick, I believe, we had Nike Nationals. So Nike Nationals is an EYBL event, one of the biggest tournaments basically of the summer. They had about 100 and maybe 20 courts. Like literally they were using two sides of the convention center, 60 courts on one side, 60 on the other. And it was just a lot of basketball, all the way from 14 and under to 17 and under. So a lot of teams there. My team was there. So I'm coaching with Team Tarasi. That's a mixture of Las Vegas girls and California girls. We actually combined forces with them. And we took about 7 teams to the tournament. We had a lot of success. My girls really surprised me. They're 17 and under, and this is one of their last opportunities to get recruited and, try to get a basketball scholarship. I always tell them the goal is to have your education paid for. So I took a group out there right now. I don't have anybody that is committed or definitively going anywhere, but got a lot of positive feedback, a lot of, calls from coaches. So I'm really hoping to see that some of my girls could end up, at a school in the fall or next fall. So that was exciting. But meanwhile, across the street, I did get a chance to peek over at the WNBA All-Star Game. And the first thing I want to say is the WNBA has to do better. I want to talk a little bit about just the setup. Not even so. I'm going to go on to the game after that. But we had All-Star in Las Vegas last year. And I don't know if a lot of people know this, but the Las Vegas Aces branding, media, marketing is head and shoulders by far number one in the WNBA. Like they go all out. If you've ever been to an Aces game in particular, you can drive on the strip and you're going to see on Allegiant Stadium a billboard, some type of player, some type of, upcoming games. Just they have incredible support and incredible marketing when it comes to the team. So when they had the WNBA All-Star here, it was huge. Like just the optics of it, the branding, everything was top tier and probably the best that I've ever seen or I've been around for. And I've been to a couple All-Star games. So the disappointment that, I felt, and I believe a lot of other fans felt, because we saw this just kind of on social media, the reaction, it just was very poorly put together. It looked like the WNBA kind of just said, okay, the All-Star game is here, let's, get ready to play this game. There wasn't really anything spectacular. It didn't really make you feel like, wow, this is an All-Star game. So I really felt like that was disappointing because, you want people to get behind this league. You want people to recognize the legitimacy of the league. We're always having people on social media downplaying, women's basketball in general. So I think there's no room for us to lack in certain departments where we can give people more ammunition and more fuel to, judge the league or look, down upon it. So I didn't like that. I felt like the WNBA didn't really take the event seriously. They had a lot of events planned. I talked to a couple of my Chicago people because I played for Chicago in 2018. So a lot of the fans and just people that I've developed relationships with over the years were present. They paid for, certain access to different things that were going on during the All-Star weekend. And it was very limited. The president of the WNBA came out and said that they had to close off certain events because they were afraid of gun violence and the safety. But it's like, okay, I paid for this all access weekend pass and now I can't go to this event and that event and this event. And, it just seemed like it was a mess. So I was very disappointed just that they didn't really go out with a bang like I felt like they needed to, especially this being a special All-Star game. We had Sylvia Fowles and Sue Bird who've recently announced their retirement. So, these are legends in our league. I believe Sylvia Fowles is a 8-time All-Star. Sue Bird is a 13-time All-Star. So heralded players in our league already said that this will be their last season. And I felt like this was an opportunity to make it really special. And the players in the game itself, you felt that love and those positive vibes, but just the optics and the setup on the WNBA's side of preparation and just getting this game together, I just don't think that they did a good job. So, that was disappointing. But as far as the game goes, the game was decent. You know how these All-Star games go. Not a lot of defense, a lot of shooting, a lot of offense. So it was really high scoring. I think like 114 to 111, something in that range. But it was pretty exciting. We had a couple first-time All-Stars. Sabrina Ionesco from New York, point guard, first-time All-Star. Kelsey Plum, Las Vegas Aces, first-time All-Star. Ryan Howard, potential Rookie of the Year from Atlanta, first-time All-Star. So we had a lot of young, talented girls in the game. Kelsey Plum ended up winning the MVP. I believe she had 30 points on the night, and that ties Maya Moore's record for most points scored in an All-Star game. So that was pretty cool to see. And then obviously Sylvia Fowles got a steal on a fast break, so she had a dunk. So everybody was excited to, kind of see her do that at her age and her kind of being on her way out. And just kind of the farewell to Sue Bird and her was, pretty amazing. So overall, I think the game was nice. I want to point out that the girls did take a time to recognize Brittany Griner. Everybody on their jerseys wore 42 and Griner on the back. So that was kind of just, to just let her know that, they're thinking of her. She's going on over 4 months being detained, in Russia. And they recently released a photo of her holding a picture of all the players wearing her jersey. So she obviously, being her situation, I can't imagine, but, she felt the love that she just has her girls behind her. So overall, the WNBA could have did better in terms of their preparation, but the girls made it work. It was exciting for the fans. Like I said, a lot of positive takeaways in terms of just the young talent in the league. Most of the girls that played in the game were like under 26. So the future is pretty bright. And I think, hopefully it'll be better and they can learn from some of the things that they did, this game and have a better, just complete showing, especially on the WNBA side next year.
Yeah. So, Chelsea, do you think the game or the league should have it like keep rotating and try different sites? Or you think say, hey, people love Las Vegas. They love coming. We already have the activation here. We have the facilities. Should it just be in Las Vegas and people be like, hey, I'm going to go watch the WNBA All-Star game in Las Vegas? I already know that.
I mean, I feel like you can rotate it, but you have to. I don't like the Chicago's not safe. So we had it here, but we're not going to do anything here because it's not safe. Like, I just don't like that narrative. Well, then don't have it there. Like, you know what I mean? If you're not going to be able to put on, a complete show for the fans and the people that maybe even travel to the game. Like, I'm sure there was people at the game that aren't from Chicago. They think they're getting one thing, but then they get there to find out that, this event is closed off because, we're afraid of gun violence. So I think that you can have the All-Star game anywhere, but just make it be an All-Star game. It shouldn't feel like a high school pep rally. Like it has to be, something legitimate. And another thing that just kind of bothers me about the whole concept too, like the WNBA just got $75 million in funding. And I still, till this day, and I'm sure the players too, where is that money? Where did it go? It didn't go to charter planes. Like it didn't go to WNBA All-Star because I could have put on a better assembly, myself. So it's like, where's the money going? That's what makes the WNBA like not credible. Like nobody knows like what's happening. Like things just happen and then we just have to say, scratch our head and say why.
Wow.
Why do you think? Do you think like when they said, "Oh, this event's closed off," blah blah? Do you think it's just because of lack of preparation, or were serious about like the gun violence? I mean, they've been knowing about this for how long do they know what years in advance?
They've known for months that the WNBA All-Star was going to be in Chicago, and the main event that I heard was closed off to the people that thought they were going was Chance the Rapper. He did a performance there, Chicago native. He did a performance, and I don't know exactly where they had it, but wherever it was, like it was closed off to people who thought that they should have access to it if they're paying for the full All-Star package. So, I'm saying the gun violence thing because that's what Kathy said, the president of the WNBA. She came out and said that they're worried about safety. This is a quote from her. Like, she didn't say gun violence, but she said, we had to limit certain things because of safety and, big crowds and stuff like that. Like, but it's just like, don't have it there. If you think that is such a major issue, like, don't have it there. So I don't know, but it was a mess.
Yeah. The threat of something happening it's all over. It's pervasive everywhere. So I don't think that that's a problem. And like Ani said, you've known Chicago has been Chicago for how many years now? Like, I mean, it's we know all that, it's funny. Like you talk about Ben Wilson and him. Somebody was mentioning that they follow Ben Wilson's story and he got shot a few days before the first game his senior year in the fall of 1984. 1984, like way before Morant was born, and the amount of people who died from gun violence that year was like in the 500s in Chicago. Well, 35 years later, the number's in the 500. Like it hasn't, nothing's changed. Like we know that, like nothing's changed. So you have an event there, the risk. I mean, there's risk at every event, So nowadays, there's always something happening. I was texting you guys last week, and I was like, I know, Ani, you were probably you were gone there, but I didn't know if Chelsea was out at a game or she was out. And I was like, guys, I'm hearing there's like an active shooter near the Aria, and it's just like it's all the time. It's almost like all the time now. Like something could be happening. So yeah, that's no excuse. Obviously, let's hope the WNBA keeps working, keeps getting better, uses the $75 million in a capacity that makes sense for everybody in the league. Talk a little bit about Kelsey Plum. Chelsea, did she just step her game up this year for the Aces, or was just a natural progression? Like she's going to make the All-Star game at some point, and then a veteran moved off, or she took somebody's spot, or has she really gotten a lot better?
She's incredible. And she actually has been incredible. I think this year she just kind of stepped into a new role with Becky Hammond taking over the reins as a coach. Bill Laimbeer last year had Kelsey coming off the bench, and she was most improved player of the year. But the talent has always been there. She had a little bit of an adjustment period. She was originally drafted number 1 to San Antonio. Then they flipped over to the Aces. And, her first couple of years in the league, she was kind of, trying to figure it out. Just kind of adjust to the pace. Playing in college, she scored a ton of points, but that doesn't always translate when you're playing against bigger, more athletic, faster, more talented girls. So I think she had a little bit of adjustment period. But I always tell people, like, skill can trump a lot of things. She doesn't have to be the most incredible athlete, but she's very skilled and she's very crafty and savvy with the basketball, and she could shoot. So ultimately that will always translate when you figure out, after you've had a little bit of, experience and time, playing. So I think what you're seeing now is Kelsey Plum stepped into a starter role. She's getting increased minutes. She has a neon green light from Becky Hammond, so she can shoot whenever she wants to. Confidence is all-time high. And, she's kind of coming into her own and just getting what she's deserved. She's going to be an all-star in this league for many years to come.
Makes sense. How about any other? Has anybody surprised you this year, or was there any surprising All-Star? Maybe a first-time All-Star, like a girl who's, if Kelsey's not really surprised, like you said, she's one of the all-time leading scorers in the NCAA, and she's a number 1 pick. Is there anybody out there that is stepping up her game, or that you're surprised by?
I wouldn't say surprised, but I really like the transition that the rookie Ryan Howard has made just from college to the WNBA. They talked a lot about just her motor, her body language. Sometimes people think if you're not super vocal and rah, 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 like you're not playing hard or you don't really, want to be there. Like she's very much like Kawhi Leonard in a sense that she's not going to like have a lot of antics or a lot of like, reaction in the game, but she's super effective. She came into the league, number 1 pick. People had doubts, like I said, just about her motor and stuff like that, and she's been awesome. I will say that she benefited a little bit early on. Atlanta had a lot of their main, probably best players on the team unavailable to start the season, so that gave her, a lot of minutes, a little bit of a longer leash. I mean, she's the number 1 pick, so she's going to be able to stay out there anyway. But I'm just saying, like, to be able to make mistakes because the better people, aren't out there to snatch you out of the game kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So we saw her kind of go through that adjustment period, and I'm excited to see how she's going to adjust now during the second half of WNBA season. Now that, she's on the top of everybody's scouting report, but also too, her better players are coming back. So maybe that'll make life a little bit easier. At first they were able to double her and, throw different defenses on her, but now she's going to have her better players alongside. So I think that if anything, she should keep, kind of trending upward in terms of her play. One other person that I want to note out is Sabrina Ionescu from New York Liberty. She was the number 1 pick last year, and she struggled when she first came into the league. She had an ankle injury, didn't play a lot of games her first season because she was out right away with a high ankle sprain. But now she's got it going, and she is clicking on all cylinders. New York made an adjustment where they brought another ball handling guard to put alongside her. They signed a free agent, Crystal Dangerfield, who was actually WNBA Rookie of the Year last year. She was released by Minnesota in training camp this year, bounced around, went to Indiana, and now found a home in New York. So they've paired her alongside Sabrina to take away a little bit of the pressure, the ball handling responsibilities, and now Sabrina's got it going. About 3 weeks ago, she had a crazy triple-double. It was like 30, 11, 10, 0 turnovers. So she's figuring it out. She's on her way, and I think we'll see her in the All-Star game for years to come as well.
So I have a question. Like, when you look at the NBA, you look at like the top players, right? Like LeBron, he's 37. You got Steph and Kawhi and KD. Like, they're all aging. Next 5 years, the NBA, like, the teams that are contending is going to be a big change, right? Like in the WNBA, you talked about Sue Bird. You know, this her last year. Fouls in her last year. Like, you talked about a lot of young talent in WNBA, like under 26, under 25. Who's the next group that's like going to be championship contender year after year after year? You know, as the aging stars are. You know.
Ooh, that's a good question. I want to say it's hard to just pinpoint, you know, a group. I can give you players because we're starting to actually see the landscape of the WNBA change. Like, we're seeing, you know, these star players kind of team up and leave, maybe go ring chase a little bit. We saw that with Tina Charles, you know, taking a massive pay cut as a max player in the WNBA. She should, you know, demand $215,000 from pretty much any team. But you saw at the beginning of this year, she signed with Phoenix for 120. You know, because she wanted to play alongside Brittany Griner. She wanted to play alongside Diana and Skylar Diggins and, you know, what they thought stacked team they would have over there with the Phoenix Mercury, you know, and she was trying to get her a ring. So you see a lot of young talent, and you see, you know, sometimes it's clustered with certain teams. I want to pinpoint Indiana, who has a lot of young talent with their draft class. They're always going to be, until they get some veteran pieces and some core pieces, probably a bottom team in the league. And they're actually probably dead last, you know, at this point in time right now. But you just see the young talent and, you know, how they're trying to build something, even though it's going to take some time, kind of like you see with, you know, the Houston Rockets in the NBA. Right. So I just think the group that we have, like you said, a lot of the girls that were present in that game, I think we're going to see them bounce around. I think, you know, they're going to, like, they're talking about Kelsey Plum. She's up for an extension right now. She demands a max contract. The Aces are, you know, willing to, they've made room to be able to sign her. De'Erica Hamby signed an extension, took a pay cut. Chelsea Gray, a small pay cut. You know, they made room for her, but she hasn't signed it yet. So that lets me know that she's going to probably leave and, you know, kind of go to another team. So I don't see a team that I can say, oh, wow, this team is coming. Because I just see the pieces, you know, of the puzzle kind of shifting. I look at Connecticut Sun, who's been in the mix, in the playoff mix, contending, I guess, for the last couple of years. You know, Brianna Jones, she's up for, she's about to be a free agent, and everybody in the league wants her. So will she be on Connecticut's team next year? Probably not. Like, you know, so it's hard for me to give you a team that I think is going to just kind of contend for years to come, because I see the landscape changing, just like in the NBA, where people are just kind of bouncing around and making it work for them.
Right. Makes sense.
The follow-up question I have, Chelsea, is you mentioned, and it kind of caught my attention, is a girl was the rookie of the year, then cut. Okay, so okay, let's talk about that for a minute. She's rookie of the year 1 year, then cut in training camp. So is the WW rookie wall kind of the same as the NBA? Like, do obviously the contraction and the amount of players on one team 11, it's very difficult to make the league in general, and it's very difficult for rookies to stick or to have an impact. So do the WNBA rookies reach a wall similar to, like you would say, in the NBA? Maybe in the second half they struggle, or they get a scouting report on them, or is the season short enough where if you're playing a certain way, or that your talent's a certain way, you'll get through? Or do rookies hit a wall just like any other pro league?
I don't really see rookies hitting a wall as much as they do in the NBA. I see a lot of the struggle often coming in the beginning. You know, that adjustment period, just playing with girls that are just bigger, stronger, faster. Sure. I see more of the hard transition just happening early on. Usually after the first season, let's talk Skylar Diggins for a little bit. Skylar Diggins had a struggle of a rookie year. Everybody, she's not good. If she was not Skylar Diggins, she would have been cut, and all things are pretty true because you've seen that happen with, other players across the board. But then Skylar came back in year 2 and was absolutely incredible. Changed the narrative, got better, stayed in the gym, figured out how to pick her spots. And she's been an all-star in this league, a perennial all-star, pretty much, since her, I think, 3rd or 4th season. So I think the transition period is just hard in the beginning. After that, you pretty much make that adjustment and you're fine. When you talk about Crystal Dangerfield and why she was released after being Rookie of the Year, it's just limited space and just, Crystal Dangerfield wasn't a lottery pick. She was drafted in the 2nd round. She's an undersized guard, very hard-nosed, tough. She actually played in Israel this past season, so I played against her multiple times. But, it's kind of what the coach is looking for and the fact that roster spots are limited. Every season, things can change in terms of cap and salary and who you sign. You're allowed to carry 12 players. You might take 11 because maybe you got this free agent who demands a lot of money and now you don't have any money to fill out the roster. Or, okay, Crystal Dangerfield's a rookie, but now she's out of her rookie contract because it's been 2 years and now we have to pay her a little more. So let me get this other rookie who's cheaper. It's not always she's not good enough to play thing, because there's a lot of people that aren't in the league for various reasons that were on rosters one year and off a roster the next year.
Sure.
It's just about space and making the cap fit and what's happening in that season. And like we just talked about landscape shifting, it just depends on who joins the team if my spot is going to be safe for the next season.
Yeah. That's great insight. That's interesting because when you say that and you say Rookie of the Year gets cut, you're like, wow.
It's sick. And I actually, one thing I will say is I'm hoping that the collective bargaining agreement, when it's up for the WNBA, that they're able to make some small changes. Everybody is demanding expansion, but I think the first step is expanding the rosters. Like, let's forget about having a new team. Let's make sure the rosters are at 15. Let's have a guaranteed clause where if I'm a top 10 or a 1st round pick in the WNBA, you have to give me 2 years. Like, you can't just bring me in and cut me the next day. Otherwise, there's no incentive for these young girls who are playing as hard as they possibly can in college for a dream to play in the WNBA, to work hard to get drafted, to not know if they're going to be on the roster after they were put on the team. Like, I think that's just nuts. I'm not saying that, some of these girls come and they're not who we think they are. It doesn't pan out. So that happens everywhere. But I'm just saying, like, the uncertainty when we've seen the number 4 pick get cut. We've seen the number 7 pick get cut. Like, this is ridiculous. Like, these are 1st round top.
I think Ronnie likes that. Ronnie's like, hey, you're the best, you make the team.
It's not even about that. Like, it's literally just sick. They will cut you and not think twice. And I'm the number 3 pick. I'm the number 4 pick. Like, come on.
Ronnie's like, hey, you got the skills, you get paid.
Yeah.
Okay, but I can have all the skills I want to. If you're going to put Diana Taurasi at age 50 on the roster, it doesn't matter what I do. You're going to put her on the roster regardless.
You're going to put her on the roster.
Yeah, they got to make room. Some of these teams are not willing to, and that's the problem. So I want the roster to go to 15. I want there to be some type of clause for rookies to have a legitimate chance. And if they bounce out after 2 years, then so be it. But I shouldn't get bounced out after 30 days, Ani. The draft is the draft is right after college basketball pretty much ends. Then WNBA is a month and a half after that. How am I cut already?
It is what it is.
That's my thoughts.
Yeah, no, that's good insight. We appreciate it. And we hope your girls do get some looks down the line. I know you work hard with them. Tell us a little bit about that. You and Sequoia work with them? Do you guys have another trainer work with them? What do you guys normally do on a regular, let's just say school's out and it's a regular, week, and let's say the week before the tournament. What are you guys doing?
It's a total collective effort. Like I said, we have multiple teams. So one thing that's big in our program is everybody pretty much has a team, but we like to have 2 coaches on the bench when there's tournaments and games at all times. So even though I coach 17s, I have to jump on the bench for 14U. I have to jump on the bench as an assistant coach for 15U. So we have multiple coaches. We practice 2 times a week on Monday and Thursdays in the evenings, and kind of just split into groups. Usually we start a warm-up with everybody. Usually the 17s and 16s are together, and then we break off into our own teams and work on, different things. But yeah, so everybody's pretty much, kind of doing their thing with different age groups. This year, Sequoia is with 16s. So she has a little bit younger group, and I'm with 17s. But other than that, all the coaches are doing their part. We do private workouts all the time, where the girls can come and just get extra work and skill work. Because obviously when we're in that team setting, it's not always, we don't have time for that. Usually practice for, 2 times a week. We're getting about 3 hours in for the week, and we have a tournament shortly after. So we're doing team concepts, defense, offense, where we're going to run. And then, boom, we kind of hit the ground running when the game starts. So it's a big deal though. Like I'm just happy to be able to do my part with, the girls in my community. But there's a lot of people that are just kind of making the wheels of the Team Taurasi bus turn. Our director, Aaron Thorne, our co-director, Julius Barron, really make everything happen. And me, I just kind of slide in when I'm in town, so I'm home for the summer, so I'm working with my girls, but I'll, take a leave of absence when I go overseas and then kind of just pick up where I left off when I get back.
Yep. Ani, speaking of overseas, let's talk a little bit real quick before we get into the live period. Talk just a little bit about USA basketball and what you thought of them. Obviously, they won for the 6th time, the 17 U FIBA World Cup. They won it in Spain. I believe they beat Spain. But, anything stood out to you there? Obviously, it's not a surprise they won. Right. They obviously won the 18 in Mexico a month ago or so, but no surprise that they won. But did anything surprise you in terms of maybe roster standing out or any of the play?
No, I mean, I won't say surprise, but Cooper Flagg just solidified himself as the best player in that class.
Oh, wow.
I mean, 6'7", 6'8" wing. I mean, he's crazy skilled, advanced scorer. I mean, I think he had a triple-double one game. This is a rising sophomore. Knows how to score, rebounds, plays hard, high passer feel. I mean, Cooper was fantastic. I know there's a couple outlets like On3 and some other casts. They put him as the top, the best prospect right now in the country, regardless.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so
that's the out of Maine, right, Ani?
Cooper Flagg.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, he got a chance. I mean, I don't see him, being in high school till 2025. Either he's gonna class up or he's gonna do something. I mean, but that 25 class in the country, I mean, it's really good. Your top threes like Cooper, Cameron Boozer, who's from Florida, Carlos Boozer's son, and then Coa Pete out of California. Those are, but that class is loaded. I mean, that's a loaded class. Jeremy Fierce was really good. Guard. He was consistently productive. Ron Holland out of Dallas. He was really good. Just high motor. Really good transition player. Runs the lanes, finishes, rebounds out of his area. Can guard multiple positions. The USA group was solid. Your boy, we talked about like Dennis Evans. It was a little bit too fast for him. He's starting to get a good feel for it, but I think it tells you a lot where Dennis Evans was last year. Even though Ronnie kind of noticed him first, but you knew he was going to be a high major player. But from kind of going to just this kind of raw big man that can see it, but long ways to go, and he still has ways to go. But now being on the Team USA roster and getting 5-6 minutes a game, and even though the game still needs to slow down for him, just seeing him in that environment was interesting. It was a good eval. But USA did their part. I thought Cooper Flagg was fantastic. Cole Pete was on that team. He was good. He was good. Just showed his versatility with his size. I mean, he's every bit of what you say, Ronnie, about 6'7", 6'8" as well.
Yeah, 6'7"
Yeah, 6'7" and then Ron Holland and Fears, and I know I'm probably missing someone off the top of my head, but
talk about our guy Ian, man.
Oh, Ian was good. Oh, man. I knew I was missing someone. I was like, I'm missing somebody. My mind went blank. Ian was great. He was really good. Just as a scorer. Sometimes operates the primary ball handler. Just uses his length. To really cover ground on the defensive end, and he was good just as a scorer, as a facilitator. I think down the road he can be someone that you can play on the ball in longer spurts. Right now, he's more comfortable probably as like an off-ball scorer or just
Sure.
at the two. But I think we saw flashes. We saw some stuff in him that can show that he can be a playmaker. At the one, he's every bit of 6'4", borderline 6'5". I like Ian. I mean, Ian had a really, really good tournament along with those guys, and I just like to I like how he's progressed as just like a playmaker, and he always had the scoring, but I think the be able to create for others and see it and make accurate passes was the thing I did like.
Yeah, that makes sense. Obviously, that team was talented. They beat the host Spain 79-67 in the title game. Like you mentioned, Jeremy Fears, the point guard out of Lalamere, 17 points, 6 assists, 3 steals. Cooper Flagg I didn't know Cooper's such a good rebounder. He had 17 rebounds, 10 points.
Wow.
He averaged 10 rebounds for the 7-game tournament, and Ian was the leading scorer at 11.9. Ron Holland at 11.1. I guess those were the leading scorers. But yeah, Cooper Flagg obviously turning heads. Ani, watching Boozer a few times this summer, if let's just say for argument's sake, like Koa Pete's there and Cooper Flagg, like if those guys are better than Boozer, like that those three guys are incredible then, because
Right.
if Cooper Flagg is better than him, like dude, they're 3 great players.
Really good. I mean, I got to see him in Orlando at NBA Top 100 camp. Cameron was hurt that last till the last day he played.
Sure.
The last day, and he still got mentioned into the All-Star team at the NBA Top 100 camp, and he only played one day. Like as a rising sophomore, mind you, there's our 2023s, 2024s. He's a 25 play one day, made the All-Star team. Like, and I think he was the youngest to ever make the NBPA Top 100 camp All-Star.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like he was that good. Like if he played all the whole way through, he was top 3.
Yeah, top 3 in the camp. Yeah, that's pretty awesome for those guys. Just good to see that the young guys are making their mark and coming up in this event. Speaking of young guys, Ani, let's talk a little bit about the live period, and then we'll jump into the summer league.
Okay.
Well, obviously, we went to the last live period. There was a dead week where we were able to go to the summer league a little bit, watch those, and then we'll be live again later this week. Just talk about where you went and just a couple of the standouts.
Yeah, I went to Atlanta. I stayed there for a couple of days. I went to watch Under Armour. Then I went to the NBA Academy game. So, like at UAA, my people, Houston Defenders, they won their first UA championship. Shout out to Larry, Chad Hardy, my guys, Aaron, Harrison. What's so crazy about that? Like, the Defenders. When we talked 2 years ago, like around here, people are like, "Oh, the Defenders are done." They're like, they weren't very good. They know they can keep their deal. People were talking about they shouldn't have their deal anymore. Blah blah blah. And for them to win this championship, that was good for them. I was happy to see, like, when everyone was talking so negative about them, for them to kind of bounce back and then have a season that they did. They had a couple guys that blew up. Chris Johnson, who's a top 50 guy in the country in 2023. He was a late addition. I think he was added like 2 days before their first game. He's going to Montverde. Talented 6'4", 6'5" guard, high field, can really score the basketball, does well with the ball in his hands. But they had a few kids that blew up, like Jalen Bernard. He's kind of solidified himself as a mid-major guy. 6'2", with like really strong next level body, just athletic, just really embraces contact and finish. South Carolina Upstate offered. He probably garnered about, I think Longwood offered. He garnered like 5 offers from that weekend. Was just tough, made shots, had a highlight dunk, like, almost jumped over somebody and dunked it.
Wow.
He was really good. He was really good. Jalen Bernard was good. They had a kid, Brody Robinson, who reclassed and is actually going to, I think, the Phelps School, in 2023, and he received an offer. I think he committed to the school that offered him. So, like, he took a gamble on himself, got a Division I offer after UAA, and he committed. So he's going to be a Division I basketball player, which is big. But defenders were really good. They got a kid, Jamari McDowell, who's a high major prospect, 6'5" guard. Kansas just offered him. I know some of the other blue bloods are starting to kind of come in on him. So, defenders were really good. They played together. They played fast. They really defended. They had a lot of guys with size that can move and defend and just played together. So they were really good. A couple other guys that were good, like Marco Jackson from We Are One out in New Jersey. He was great, like a bully, 6'3" guard, just, really gets to the basket and finishes, very right heavy, but saw him go left and still able to score. The shooting, he made a lot of like perimeter shots from the 2 games I watched. He probably was like a top 3 to 5 player overall that I saw from that event. Derek Queen from Team Thrill. They played in the championship. They played Houston Defenders. So Derek Queen, who's at Montverde, he's a 2024, about 6'9". He's a skilled big. He's lost 50 pounds since last year. Yeah, like he's really lost a lot of weight. Got to talk to him some. Great kid. Just like, he just faces you up and he just scores in any way. Like, just his footwork tremendous. His feel's tremendous. The lost weight has really helped him just move, especially on the defensive end. Derek was fantastic, but he has a teammate, Eli Rice, another kid that reclassed. He's going to IMG post grad. He's like a 6'6" wing, and he received an offer from Nebraska. I'm 90% sure that's where he wants to go. Like that's probably where he's going to go, to be honest with you.
Sure.
Just kind of figuring all that out. Though they're setting up an official visit, but he was a kid again, didn't have really much. I know Georgetown kind of offered late, and guys offered late, went and now see reclass, but he kind of betted on himself, and now he has a chance of being a high major basketball player. Especially in the climate that we're in, with the transfer portal and the COVID year and all that stuff. See some guys really bet on themselves and bet on their game, like a kid like Eli Rice and Brody Robinson. That's just really great to see. And it's great to see that you in Under Armour, like those opportunities were available. Another kid from Under Armour, JP Estrella. I got to see him in Orlando. That was my first time really getting a good look at him from Middlesex Magic. 6'11", lefty, skilled, shoots it from the perimeter. Good touch coming over that right shoulder. Just really good passer, like, from the high post. He can really find cutters, the open man, can attack, make no-look passes. I really liked him in Orlando. He was great with Middlesex Magic and Under Armour. So those guys from Under Armour really kind of stood out to me. I've been to Under Armour about 2 years. So it was good to just kind of see some of the guys and see how the brand is. But that NBA Academy game, I would say those games, so you had NBA Latin America Academy, NBA Africa had their academy. They had 2 teams. You had the NBA global teams. They had, I think, 3 teams. Best basketball I saw. The best like basketball that I saw. And nothing against Under Armour. I mean, just the level of basketball in those games were very translatable, right? Just how they run their sets, the pace, playing through physicality and everything. But 2 guys really stood out to me. It was a kid, Alex Tuhi, out of Australia. He's a 2023. He's a 6'8" guard. Skilled. Like very skilled. Big time passer, doesn't have much of a 3-point shot, but his mid-range game is really good. Athletic, like he got a rebound, went down, broke down 2 guys, and went to the basket and finished, like just above the rim finish. Like he was really good. Like I know there's some high majors there watching him. Like guys, that's an NBL kid. Like you ain't gonna see him at your school. You'll see him with the New York or something. You know what I mean? Like. He was really good. He was really good. He was arguably number 1, and there was a kid from Democratic of I want to say Congo. I could be wrong on that, but Thierry Darlan. He's a 2023. Kind of looks like Frank Ntilikina did at the same age. 6. He's a point guard. He has freakishly long arms. He's hell on the defensive end, like how he just gets by screens and like defends and blocks shots and steals and sees the pass, just intercepts passing lanes and stuff like that. He was really good. He really shot the ball well, good feel. Like he's someone that I think we'll talk about in the NBA draft. I don't know when, but at some point we will see him in the draft. Him and Alex were just far above like the other guys. But you saw some talented guys. Like there's a guy named Barry Wang. He's from Japan. He's a 6'9" power forward. Really shoots the basketball. I saw some 7'1" kids that can really shoot the basketball and can really pass. Like some of it's just like a toughness thing. They're just really skinny. They're raw. But it was a really good basketball, really good coaching. Like you got Pooh Jeter coaching. You have some guys that been NBA that are coaching these guys and coaching them hard. So it was really good. I thought they said years past there was more pros, like more NBA guys, and I thought you saw a couple guys that were NBA guys, but I saw a decent amount of like low, mid, potentially high major type guys that can help right now. So that was a good thing. But the NBA Africa thing, that's my last point. Like there was a lot of young guys, some 2025s, some 2026s that are like 6'10", can really move, block shots. Saw a 6'2", 2026 player that like chased down and blocked it with two hands, and he just turned 14 a month ago. Like there's a lot of talent in Africa. It's just crazy to see 7-footers that are 15 years old, 16 years old, like from there that, they're just, you can see where the development can be down the road. So it was good to see, as someone that is Nigerian, like to see African players, young and developing and just seeing how rich they are in talent, older and young. So like it was good to go to those games.
Yeah, it sounds like it was a great evaluation event, and it's great to see the future. How the future is going to look. I mean, the NBA is just so well versed in terms of getting now talent from all over, through various academies or various venues. So that's great. I think didn't Bennedict Mathurin play on the Latin team before he went to Arizona? Yeah. So there's players. We talked about Bennedict at the top of the show. So there's going to be more players like him. Like you said, they're not all going. They're not NBA level players, but a lot of them will be making their mark in college. For me, I stayed in Southern California for that first live period. And I didn't see, because the shoot circuits were going on, like Ani, you were in UAA, obviously Nike was going on. I saw a lower level and, mid-major, low major. The coaches were out, though. And, it was a good viewing period. Again, it's a lot of guys that are going to get a scholarship and 4-year college guys, a lot of 4-year college guys. And that's fine. Like, you saw the high level guys at Pangos, you saw the high level guys at NBA players, and I'm sure we'll see a few more high level guys before the end of the summer. But what I saw is I went to the Pangos Premier 80. I'll just rattle off some names of guys. I'll just go in order. I'm just going straight off my list. Shane Dumas Sanchez from Albuquerque, New Mexico, 6'1", 223. Good jumper, playing with a lot of confidence. He can get a scholarship. Caden Bailey, like a combo guard, 226 from Orange Lutheran in Southern California. He's going to be a high-level player. He did really well. Jalen Milt from Northview of Norfolk, Virginia. Had the pull-up game going. Solid, big body. He kind of would, if you saw him, he kind of remind you of Marcus Smart, that type of player. Just big body and can handle the ball, physical. Parker Strauss, that's Strauss is his last name. 6'4", 223, a slasher. Moves well. He's from Pacifica Christian, Newport Beach. He's starting to get D1 interest. Pearson Carmichael from Summit and Bend, Oregon. He knows how to score. Good shot. Played smart game. 6'5", 223. Zaire Beverly, who's kind of a sleeper. He's from LA, Washington High School. He hasn't been playing basketball for more than 2 years. Gangly. I think, Ani, you might have seen him before. I'm not sure.
What's his name?
Zaire Beverly. He's very gangly. The best basketball is ahead of him, but he's going to get some D1 looks. He's got a few offers now. New Mexico State offered him.
Okay.
7'6", 8". I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, dude, he's a San Diego State type of athlete, that kind of guy. Like in 2 or 3 years, he'll be able to help. You'll be able to help. Chelsea's like,
we'll take him.
I've been telling him, people are going to find out about him. He plays for Rock, ICANN, All-Stars. Again, it's very interesting how he's just coming on pretty fast because, again, he doesn't have a lot of experience. The best player at the one-day event was Nicholas Kamenia. He's from Harvard Westlake. He's going to be a national recruit. He's hitting a lot of shots. 6'8", making plays, is a nice pull-up jumper. He's about 6'7", 6'8". He's 225. The coaches were really raving about him a bunch, and there was a good amount of coaches there for that one-day event. So that started it on that Wednesday, and then there was a lot of events. Ani, there's 5 events at one time, as we know. That's a little watered down. Like, you can't. Two events didn't even have coaches. Like, they couldn't even make it over there. It's just, again, there's a lot of reasons for that. We talked about the landscape changing a little bit. They got to focus on the guys that they're going to offer or potentially offer. I mean, they can take a flyer here and there, but they just don't have time. And then their staffs are split. Some of them are at the shoe companies, and they got to make the best use of their time at these events where there's independent teams. And a coach told me this, and we'll do an episode on this in the future. Like, we need to do an episode on how the players now, like, the strategy of getting a scholarship. And you kind of mentioned earlier, Ani, that, like, if you get offered, you kind of have to take it. Like, you can't just be, I'm going to get some bigger. I'm going to, I'll go higher. Like, this is not the atmosphere to be doing that in. You got to be more realistic than ever. So the coaches are more realistic. Obviously, they're asking about names, and they're trying to get people to follow and potentially guys that they may see may portal up to them or bounce back to them. But overall, like, they're trying to focus on the guys who they're giving a scholarship to. So I spent most of my time at the Cali Live Summer Showcase, and then Pangos Sweet 16 had some good players. So I'll just rattle off some of the Cali Live guys. There was one guy I did see over at the Open Gym premiere. I went specifically to watch him. He's 226, Che Brogan. He plays for Southern California All-Stars. He's like a Manu Ginobili type slashing player. Plays just like that, lefty, gets to the rim, covers ground. He's actually Tommy Lewis's son, and Tommy Lewis was a McDonald's All-American who played for Pat Barrett himself there, many, many years ago. And he's the head coach now at Valley Christian High School in Cerritos, which is not too far, from where I'm at in Southern California. Cameron Mercadal was good. He plays for BTI Select 16U. He goes to Santa Margarita High School. Nice first step. I thought he played well. He's a good 224 prospect, 6'1", can play off the ball a little bit quick. Kyle Evans, who's a 222. So he's be a post grad, or this he's already done with his high school eligibility. He played for the Cali Rebels. He had a good shot blocking. Ani, he played against our guy Isaiah Miranda, and he had a really good game. Isaiah played for Rhode Island Elite. Rhode Island Elite was out here, and Kyle made himself well. He's big sky type, maybe goes D2, but like he did really well in that week, and some people are taking notice. Eric Brown, 6'7", 223, Lake Show, 17U. He goes to Archbishop Mitty High School. I thought he had good skill level. He did well for himself. Travis Hightower, 223, 6'6", NorCal Ducks. He can play, and he should be getting some looks. Lolo Rudolph played for the Oakland Soldiers, 16U. St. Augustine, 6'2" guard. I thought he's one of the best defenders I saw all week. He really gave great effort. Lolo's a D1 player. Joseph Sterling is a 226 as well, 6'3", shoots it well. He played for Paul George Elite, one of the younger teams. Paul George Elite had some good younger talent. A real good sleeper. The kid who I think is whoever picks him up is going to get themselves a good player. He's also 222, but he's going to post grad is William Hebro. He's 6'6", and he just has a good size to skill ratio. I mean, at 6'6", he can really shoot it. He can spot up shoot. He can catch and shoot. And I just at his size and at his skills, somebody's going to pick him up. He plays for Team Rampage. I didn't really even know about him much until late in the high school season. He played at Archie Williams High School in the Bay Area, which is a really small school. I just thought he's coming along, and some D1s are now on him, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him being offered. And then the player I thought who really played well and probably the best all-around performance, and he's my last guy, is also for the Oakland Soldiers 16, is Jace Butler, 6'4", 6'5", 224. He's a lefty, just knows how to move. He's crafty, kind of like Jalen Brunson. Just his pace and his speed is good. He's under control. He can really shoot it. So those were the standouts for me. And again, Ani, it's obviously a different level than probably what you saw during the course of the 5 days, but like it's good. And this upcoming week, I'll see a little bit higher level. Adidas is coming to Southern California, so that will be my focus. But overall, it was good. Again, like we said, we'll come back and talk about. A college coach he mentioned, he's like, I listened to your podcast and I want you guys to talk about this. I'm like, great, he's just trying to do other kids a favor. They're not all going to go to his school, but he's like, these kids there were so many teams and so many people who are playing who are not even getting watched by colleges. So it's like, oh my, like we gotta. I don't know how that's gonna change. I don't think that's gonna change just because the culture. People love basketball and it's a great thing, but like the realistic part of where they're going, that's something that people need to know. Just more about the process, especially. It's a lot different than before COVID. We got this portal still going crazy, and the kids have to be realistic. And it's not just the kids, obviously. It's the people.
I have a question for you, though, Ronnie. Yeah. So you made mention of just like, hey, if you get a scholarship offer, like you kind of have to take it. But do you think these kids are deceived a little bit? Like I'm hearing you and Ani talk about all these events, shoe circuit. There's so many events that these kids are really thinking like, okay, well, I got this offer, but I got 6 more events before the summer ends, to have another chance and another opportunity. So, you just talk about landscape. I just think with so many events, also you have the transfer portal, which I feel like is the real hindrance of these kids because a lot of these schools are just taking college players that are already developed and already have 2 years under their belt when they transfer. I think that kind of leads a little bit to the delusion of I have time or I'm going to go bigger. So I kind of just wanted to get your thoughts on that because it's like there's so many events. It's too many. Even I feel with my girls, like we went from, we playing in Chicago. A day later, they're in Indiana. Then they're back in Vegas. Like every week, there's something. So, that's why these kids have the mentality. I think of that, but I just want to get your opinion on it.
Yeah, I think that there hasn't been enough time. They need to be educated, like of the cycle. Like the spring offers for high school kids are not coming as they were before COVID. Meaning, like you play well into your senior year, maybe you dominate at the end of your senior year and in some playoff games or something, and then the coaches see you maybe at an all-star game, and obviously we're not talking about McDonald's or Jordan, just like at a local game or something you play in, and maybe they'll pull the trigger. But I just think those opportunities are going because then they're going to play in the spring again, meaning like if you graduated and you don't have nothing, you'll play in the spring. But those coaches are not, this past spring, they weren't out as much, and they're basically hosting visits, like as you mentioned, with the transfer portal, that is their priority. They're not going to go watch a kid who maybe they'll take a flyer on. Like they're going to host those visits and hopefully get some commitments, like you said, from experienced players. So if those spring opportunities are much more limited and the colleges are not getting out as much, and if the high school season, you have a pretty good solid offer. Let's say you just get, I'm not putting anybody on the spot, but let's say you get offered by New Mexico or Pepperdine or USF. And like, it's a good offer and you kind of like it. You got to have to kind of say, okay, you know what? This is good place for me. If you want to wait till U of A or, Washington and Cal and UCLA offer you, like, that's not, like you said, it's not a great realistic model. Now it happens once in a while, but there's only one UCLA's only taken one Russell Westbrook type of player in the last 15 years. Like how many guys have they taken late on like, hey, we like him. He's going to be good down the line. Like they just don't have the time. Like in today's atmosphere, UCLA might be looking at a transfer portal guy instead of Russell Westbrook. You know what I mean? Like that's just the reality of it. Not saying that he couldn't have got to it because he was a good player, but
yeah,
I think the window's smaller and you got to just be, whether it's talking to somebody that's outside your circle that you trust or has good reputation or has a good read on the situation. Like, hey, maybe this would be a good situation if you do legitimately get an offer. And then we got to even talk about offers that are not like that legitimate or.
Right.
Yeah, that's another thing. But Ani, some of the guys you mentioned, this is like those are like legitimate offers. And you kind of mentioned the kid from Nebraska. Like that's a pretty smart thing. Like if he gets offered, he's probably going to take it, and he's probably going to. He he hasn't committed yet, but it looks like he will.
Right. Yeah, and I'm agreeing with you. I think people are deceived more so the blind just leads the blind sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like it's just people that don't know what they're don't know are leading people that don't know or leading kids that just don't know. So they're saying, hey, wait till you got this offer, wait till this school comes along. Because you know what it was back then, I say like it was just so many years ago, it was like, okay, like here, if Texas offers, then Baylor will probably offer. Then then TCU would offer. Then Oklahoma State, then Oklahoma. That's not the case now. Like if UTSA offers, that does not mean like SMU or UTA or UTEP's going to offer. So Ronnie kind of mentioned it. Like when you have people around you that are educating these kids on how this stuff works, right, and what's a legitimate offer and what's not. Like if a school offers, right. I mean, he's very quick, like, hey, coach, when could I come on an official visit? Oh, I need to talk to my coach. Okay, then it's not a real offer. Like, it's just throwing something out there. Like, those are the stuff, like, okay, like when a kid's like, hey, I got this offer, yada, yada, yada. This is a place I want to go. Sometimes I'll call the coach, hey, coach, I saw you offer this kid. I think he wants to commit or wants to come on a visit. Yeah, I got to give my head coach and see what that happens a lot. And these kids don't realize it, so they think they received an offer, and it may not even be legitimate, but they thinking that another higher offer is going to come, but they don't realize the offer that they just received they can't even commit to. But I think it's timing. Like the kids that are receiving offers in July live period, like it's for the most part committable, or it's a situation where you want people they want to get you on the visit. They want you, This is more advanced talk than compared to probably receiving an offer in April. You say, Ronnie, like if you receive an offer in April, like, yeah, it's cool, but you still have such a long ways. Like kids that received offers in April play bad in May and June, and they don't have the offer anymore. Right. So like in July, to me, it's kind of more the better times because like you receive an offer that you're not playing a lot more tournaments. You may be playing one or two more tournaments, do your thing there, then, go on your visits in August or whatever, whenever that time is, and then sign in November. That's realistically what it's supposed to look like. But people think, oh, they gave me an offer now. I'm gonna get this school's gonna come in, this school's gonna come in, this school's gonna come in from the conference, and that's not the case because it's different. Like UTEP may want more transfers. UTSA may take more high school kids. UNT may look to go into the JUCO market heavier. Like just stuff like that. These kids don't know.
Yeah, and that's another thing you mentioned. The average high school kid doesn't know the makeup of a college roster.
Right.
So back to the springtime, you mentioned the colleges are telling you and me, and obviously other people, like, we got to see what our roster is going to look like in the fall. We got 7 guys leaving, and it's like they're trying to get the portal to make up the bulk of those new spots. So they don't even know what their roster is going to look like during the spring, what it's going to look like in the fall. So how are they going to know what high school player they really, really want? It's very tricky. So, yeah, we will come back to this.
Wait, real quick, Ronnie, that brings me to another question because it's a little bit of a sidebar, but it's relevant. You're talking about transfers and stuff. Do you think in the future we're going to see some type of regulation? I don't think it's going to be a free-for-all in the transfer portal like it's been the last couple of years. And I'm also wondering, maybe the NCAA steps in and starts to say, okay, you do have to have a couple of true freshmen on your actual, roster because, like you said, there's schools that eat off of transfers. I mean, San Diego State, I'm alum there. The men's team has been doing that for years, just taking in transfers, being super successful, because these guys already have experience. And I look at San Diego State on the women's side, even this year, they had 1 true freshman. Everybody else was incoming transfers. So I'm just wondering, like, I know we can't say for sure, but I'm just in the foreseeable future, how is the transfer portal going to change? Because they're not going to just I don't think that they're going to just let students transfer willy-nilly. Some of these kids are on their 3rd school, fourth school. So I think there's going to be some type of regulation and there's going to be some type of penalty like there was in the past when you transfer. I was a transfer. I had to sit out a year before I was eligible to compete again. But I'm just wondering, like, are they going to start putting some regulations not only on the portal but on these teams? No, you cannot have 10 transfers on your roster. Like, I'm curious to see what happens.
I don't know. I can't speak on the women's side too much. Obviously, whatever they do on the men's, they kind of have to mirror it because the girl's going to say, "Wait, you're giving them one set of rules, you're giving us one set of rules." But I do think after the COVID period dies down, meaning all those extra eligibility years, when those kind of get out of the system, which is starting this fall for most schools, and then some people did mention that they want to see the 1 year. You could be in the portal, but the 1 year sit out still be there. I don't think they're going to regulate the transfer portal in terms of how many people could be enter it. I think they're going to try to get out more education and get people out there to who should be in it. Like, why are you jumping in it for this reason? Give people incentives to stay, get better educated on who they should offer scholarship to, that type of thing. But I think the normal will go down a little bit once we get away from COVID and keep going down. But I don't think they're going to put any regulations on who a school can offer a scholarship to. I just think there will be huge brushback for that. Like, if they want to have a bunch of junior college transfers, that's what they want. If they want freshmen, that's what I don't think there's going to be brushback for like how the makeup of your roster is, or like, oh, you got to have 5 seniors, the 2 freshmen. I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I think more so you probably see a regulation NIL before you see a regulation in the transfer portal, and that may affect the portal. Like, some kids are entering the transfer portal to for a higher NIL. Like if NIL or collective gets under, if there's more rules into that, you probably have more people, more of the top end guys may be more hesitant on entering the transfer portal.
Right.
Yeah. That's a good point, Ani. As we transition to talk about the summer league, that's a great point, and we'll talk about this too as the season comes closer. The next season there's a lot of low majors, Ani, a lot of mid majors that are bracing themselves. They're really worried, like this collectives for the higher level schools. Like, are they going to be able to get anybody they want? Meaning that they're going to just lose them. The guys are going to jump in the portal because some college has a collective that has a $10 million pot, and they're going to give them 500,000 of it. Is there just going to be? Yeah. So it's kind of like Chelsea, what you mentioned, developing young girls, and then they join a big shoe circuit team. It's kind of the same thing. These colleges are thinking like, we found this great recruit. He got in, we developed him. He had a great year. Okay, we're going to lose him to a school with the bigger collective because obviously Alabama, Oklahoma, Kentucky, those schools they're going to have a bigger collective. So that's going to reach a point where, and I know a lot of mid majors to low majors are bracing for that. They just don't know what they're going to do about that right now. Yeah. They did mention that to me earlier this month. They're like, boy, this is coming and we don't know what's going to make of it. I don't know if you have a quick thought about that, but it's like, it's coming.
Yeah, no, I know it's coming. I agree with that's the same kind of concern that I've been receiving. It's like, when I ask my kids, like, hey, like, am I going to have them for 4 years? I'm like, Coach, I can't tell them. Like, no, but I will tell you this, like, what will happen is kids that are really talented that probably would blow up like year one. What coaches are going to do is they're going to manage that situation so they don't blow up in year one. they're going to be smart, and they're going to make it year 2, year 3 where they have that breakout season. Yeah, that's the other part of all of this. Like, they're going to
manage the roster. But also, if you have a player that's just having a great season, you better get that collective money. You better start thinking about how you're going to keep them from entering in that portal. Like, that's just going to be the reality of the situation. Like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of a player who was like that. And the one's not coming to my mind. Maybe Keegan Murray a little bit at Iowa. Mm-hmm. Like, we're not a top 25 recruit, really did well. And it's like, in the future, how do you now? Maybe he's a special case. Maybe he loved Iowa, and maybe it worked out there. How about if he's like, I want to go to Arizona, or I want to go to Kentucky? Mm-hmm. You better have, or Miami. Miami's a great kid. You better have $750K for him, or else he's going to be at Miami.
Right.
Wait, did that kid end up getting more money? The one that was
Wong.
I think they restructured. Yeah, they restructured.
So it worked.
Well,
Wow.
yeah. See, that's what I'm saying. And then that's another thing. You start getting to the point where Chelsea comes in and she's a McDonald's All-American. I coming in and I'm a top 50 guy. And Ani comes in and he's a top 100 guy. And Chelsea's expected to start. I'm expected to get minutes. And Ani's maybe redshirting. Well, wait a minute. Ani killing it all practice. Ani's going to start. But Ani doesn't have much NIL money. Yeah. That's going to be a problem.
Yeah.
You're going to be like, wait a minute. Chelsea's sitting. She's, she has a $500,000 deal. I'm better than her. I'm going to sit out. What are you going to do? I'm sitting out. Like,
I didn't even think about that. I didn't even think that far.
It affects, makes up the rosters once you start talking about, especially the families. They talk, hey, so-and-so has a deal. He's he has nice stuff. He has a car or something, or he's able to, and my son is beating him out of minutes, but has nothing. That's going to be, it's already been an issue in the past, but it's going to be a bigger issue.
Yeah. Wow.
It's more managing of the more management. It's like you already have enough with school, outside forces, agents. It's just another thing to manage, so it's
100%.
Very interesting. We'll get into that more, but let's jump into the Summer League, NBA Summer League. All of us three went at various times. Chelsea, just give us your highline take on the Summer League, and we'll just jump into what we saw on some of the standouts, and we'll close out.
I think the top 3 picks didn't disappoint. I got to watch, all 3 of them. Paolo was shut down early. He only played 2 games, but I thought he was the best player by far. So, well-deserved him being number 1. I got to watch Jabari quite a bit as well. I thought he settled a lot of jump shooting. But I think you can see the potential with him. Just it's going to be a process with his growth and development. But I think he's still going to be a great player in the league. And obviously, Chet's first game, he was incredible. He had the internet talking just about how he can pretty much do everything. And then his second game, he played Kenny Lofton, and he got punished a little bit, and kind of the tweets were flying. So overall, I thought collectively those 3 were really good. Portland ended up winning the Summer League championship. Trendon Watford, little brother of Christian Watford, who played at Indiana and hit that shot on Kentucky, was the MVP. And, I think it was well-deserved. He put up good numbers, but also just the poise. I think you can really notice sometimes in Summer League, the guys that have a year of NBA experience under their belt, sure. It's just a little bit different, just how they approach the game and just how they're playing, their pace, just them getting after it out there. I think he had a lot of poise, and he was able to just kind of, lead the young guys. And that's why Portland was really successful. So overall, I thought it was good. Keegan Murray, who was pretty impressive. Tari Eason for the Rockets, I got to watch him. And my guy, Ty Washington, you can see a lot of potential with him. I thought he played a little bit he wasn't as engaged as I would have liked him to be. But I think he showed flashes of, things that he can do and how he can help that team. I don't think that the Rockets are going to be good for a while. They have a lot of young pieces. They still got to kind of figure things out. So I can't really see them contending for a championship anytime soon. But I think the talent in the league is, pretty good. And, the Summer League wasn't bad.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And you made a good point about, you can tell the players that have been there for 1 year, been in NBA for 1 year, like Keon Johnson on that Portland team who has some really good games. I think his best position long-term is going to be at the point guard position, like his athleticism. I think his decision-making's gotten better in the shooting. He's someone that I can see in the Portland long-term being someone that, plays backup minutes. Trent Watford was fantastic. He got some minutes last year, playing like a backup 5, backup 4 role. And you can just tell the minutes he got last year and the experience really kind of transferred over here this year. Quinn Grimes, another kid that did a year. It's crazy just seeing Quinn's progression, from going to Kansas, had a really good first game, it was bad the rest of the time. Went to Houston, kind of struggled. Kelvin Sampson talked about just getting him tougher and stuff like that. Then that second year, Houston was really good rookie year. And now, in the Summer League, I thought he just looked a lot different than the other guys. He's someone that, now they're talking about, trade chip for, Donovan Mitchell, how, now New York's talking about, we don't want to include him in the trade. We're talking about, he's really grown a lot. And I thought he had a really good summer league. Justin Jackson, me and Ronnie were watching him with.
I watched that game.
I mean, he should get himself a minimum deal. Was fantastic. Just the shooting, just you can tell, just the experience and the scoring. I know USA had like a sub team that they put into the deal, and he was one of the best players there too. They went overseas and played, so got to catch him there, and got to watch those games, and he played really well. Like you said, Tyree Eason was good. Just his defensive versatility. Yeah. Scoring. I think the shooting is a lot further along than people gave credit. Chet was good, like especially the first game was really good. I'm high on Chet, but I think the reality is that he's very thin, and like I felt like the first game got to his head because he started dribbling and being a point center every time he got a rebound. And I'm like, okay, man, like you can outlet pass. It's okay. Like pass.
Yeah, come off the ball, please.
Yeah, come off the ball. Like you don't have to go you don't have to go do off the dribble threes. Like, I just thought, he let it get to his head, but it's good. I mean, that happens in summer league, and you get that out of your system now, then it'll be good. I think he has a really bright future. Like I agree with your Jabari assessment. I thought he took a lot of jumpers. Kind of did that in Auburn as well. When he can really just get stronger and get more baskets in the paint, I think he'll kind of unlock more of his game. Paulo was fantastic. I mean, he didn't get to show the passing at Duke like he's showing now. Like everything is
playmaking.
Yeah, his playmaking is fantastic. I thought he was that was the one thing. Like I knew he was going to be able to score and do those things, but the passing was that unlocked another level to his game, where you can see a multi-time All-Star and a guy that could be like one of your centerpieces in a championship contender team down the road. Obviously, defense is going to be the main question, but I think he'll be fine there. But yeah, like there's just a couple guys in my head that I thought were good. The Mavs summer league was god awful.
Jaden Hardy's first game was decent, And
the next game
for him.
Next games were bad. And I think he'll be good. Like he just takes a lot of tough shots. Me and Ronnie were talking about that. He takes a lot of tough shots. And once he learns how to, make the game easier for him, and we'll probably play with better players will help too.
Yeah.
I think he'll be fine. But Jarek Harding was good on that team as well. Ty Washington, like you talked about, was okay. I thought he was more reserved. I thought he could be more aggressive, especially coming off ball screens and stuff like that. But like at Kentucky, there was kind of the same things. Like it was just there was games he was really aggressive and really good, and there was games he wasn't aggressive and he was just out there. And I think like once he kind of understands that balance and when to be aggressive and when to just kind of do more playmaking, I think he'll be good for Houston. I hope he gets a lot of backup minutes this year and just kind of really develop him at the PG spot.
So do you think he's competing with Daishen Nix for where do you see his minutes fitting in? I'm just curious because they have a lot of guards and a lot of their guards are very ball dominant and want to shoot. I talked to Ronnie about this just a little bit earlier, just, with Josh Christopher and Jalen Green and, Kevin Porter, they have a lot of guys that want the ball, that want to shoot, want to score. So where do you see him fitting in?
I think Jalen Green is more like a combo. I think he's more of a score first guy that's still trying to figure out how to be a playmaker. I think you can play him and Ty on the ball and be fine. Daishen Nix is good. I think battling with Daishen some. Daishen obviously has a little bit more experience, but I think if you're Houston, you can still you just kind of experiment with it. I mean, you're a rebuilding team, and you just see what lineups work. Maybe you go some 3-guard lineups at times, like you've seen. Daishen's big enough, like he's wide enough to guard some twos,
They actually played side by side, though. I watched a couple games, and they were out there together. So.
Right? Yeah. So I think they can do it. I think you just got to be creative. I think Houston, unless they just want to really try Jalen Green at point and just really develop that, then sure. But I think you can run Ty and him together, Ty Daishen together, Ty Daishen and Jalen together. You can be creative with their lineups. I don't think it's more competition. I just think if you're Houston, you got to experiment and see what works. Then with Tyree Eason, he can play the 4. He can play some small ball 5. There's so many things they can do. They're going to lose anyways. Experiment.
Yeah,
she said absolutely.
No, they 100% are. But
Yeah.
Ronnie, so who did you like, Ronnie? I know we got to watch some games together, but who did you see that kind of stood out to you in the summer league?
I thought Keegan Murray was just poised and really good for the Kings. I saw the 29-point game he had. I think he averaged, maybe he's the second leading scorer in the event behind Moses Moody. He just looked like a veteran already. Like he just the way he moves kind of reminds me a little bit of a younger Sean Elliott in his young days.
Okay.
Yeah, just like
that comparison.
Yeah, just smooth and like not a lot of wasted motion. You know what I mean? Not a lot of wasted motion. Like you said, some of these guys out here are rah, dribbling around. But they're not making many impact. He just was moving well. I thought he did good. I thought Lindell Wigginton did good for the Bucks.
Yeah.
Strong guard. He has some experience. He did good. Jabari Walker for the Blazers. He was the 57th pick. And he was in Arizona as a young player. Obviously, his dad is Samaki Walker, who played in the NBA, and he's just trying to prove that he's a lot better than the 57th pick. I think he's doing a pretty good job. Mm-hmm. Just looked like he belonged. Like obviously, there's like you said, the talent levels at various. A lot of guys are not going to be on NBA rosters, but it looked like he belonged with these guys. Like it wasn't like it was a stretch taking him. Like you said, some of the guys in the second round maybe have a little bit more work to do. Mm-hmm. I like Jay Scrubb from the Clippers, lefty, shoot the ball and score. I thought he did good, showed himself well. And then some of the guys you guys mentioned, obviously at the top, were good. I thought Chet made an impact. The games I saw, he's impactful. Again, you guys kind of mentioned he's big. He's going to get bodied up a little bit, but he's unique. I just think him and the Australian kid are going to be a good combination. I think people want to watch Oklahoma City. It's not like a situation where, let's see if is this guy like a almost like let's see him almost if he's gonna how bad he's gonna like get dunked on and things like that. Like no, they think like he's gonna make a good impact. I think people want to try to like down it and see is he gonna be a sideshow. But no, I think Oklahoma City has a good nucleus, and obviously they're far from where they want to be, but it's headed in the right direction. Again, I don't know what they're going to do with all those picks.
Just trade them. They stack up all these picks like for what?
Well, the reason I brought that up is like when we talk about the picks and what they're worth, and it's like you talk about some of these trades that maybe they're trying to do with Donovan Mitchell and Knicks and some of these teams and what they're asking for. And then I remember Shaq when the Lakers basically moved him and for Lamar Odom and 1 first-round pick. So, like, what happened in those 15 years? Is like our first-round picks just that much less valued? Are they more valued? Is it just does it make the deal sound good? Oh, we threw in 4 first-round picks. Like, Shaq got traded for 1 first-round pick and Lamar Odom and another player, like not 9 first-round picks. So I was like, what's happened to the first-round picks? I don't know if you guys have any thoughts about that. Like, what's up with the first-round picks?
Well, I think that Rudy deal went through and everybody's like, what the hell? If you're getting that for Rudy, then Kevin Durant is worth the 25 first-round picks. And he just they messed up the market. But I just look at OKC, just to your point. First of all, I was very surprised that Josh Giddey played. He's like one of my favorite people to watch. I'm surprised that he was out there. I know it wasn't the whole time, but he's going to be great. I look at OKC. They've been stacking up on picks and rebuilding for the last couple of years. At what point do you transition from rebuilding to trying to win something? I think that they have a lot of picks, and I think that they are 2 pieces away from actually making some noise. They have Shai, who's incredible. Like, he is, top of the top in terms of just young talent, working his way up. They have Giddey, they have Chet now. So they need 1 or 2 good pieces to be competitive and sneak into the playoffs. And that should be the trend. Okay, rebuild, get these picks, play in game, make it to the first round, make it to the second round. Like at some point you have to not just want picks all the time and you actually have to like try to win. So I'm just wondering when OKC is going to make that jump.
I think they will. I think, you got to wait on Chet to kind of be the player. I kind of mentioned that thing like with WNBA, like the 5 years, like so I think Oklahoma's positioned themselves like when we look at it 5 years to be a championship contender team. with all these picks, I think you can be patient. Like you can be patient and wait for a young superstar that that you may be able to trade for, that you have the assets for. Like Jalen Williams out of Santa Clara looked really good for them as well. I think Poco, he's the other skinny 7-footer that they have. All right, he's a very intriguing type player. Ousmane Dieng, they got the other Jalen Williams from Arkansas. Like if 2 of those guys pan out, 2 or 3 of those guys pan out, and then let's say, I don't know, like Giannis is on the market, Milwaukee's looking to trade him, right? And then you have, like, I'm just saying, like,
hypothetical for sure.
Sure, like never happened, right? Like, but hypothetically, like that happens, or let's say a Devin Booker's open, right? Like
that's more realistic,
yeah, that's way more realistic, right? So, like, but you have the assets to trade for them. Now you go from maybe just a playing team, now all of a sudden you're a championship contender team. But you have those assets. Boston did the same thing. I think Danny Ainge did a good job. Boston just, with the draft, and then when he was positioned, he traded for Kyrie. Just, Kyrie was just being Kyrie, and it didn't work. And getting Gordon Hayward as well. But I think you stash just to be prepared to get a young superstar. And I think once some of these guys are aging out, Oklahoma will be in position to, contend for a title.
Yeah, I get that.
They got to make the right moves when they do that. You're right. They're going to have the assets to do it, and maybe it's all for down the line. So, yeah, it was good. Chelsea, were you surprised that a little more second-year players didn't play? Obviously, still developing. A lot of the top 221 draft picks didn't play this year. And obviously, you mentioned our guy Giddey did for a little while, so that was good to see. But how about some of the? Were you a little surprised, or you think no, that's just the nature? Like Josh Christopher's on the bench with Houston, it's like you ain't just suit up, dude. You need
Well, he actually played a couple games though, so I think players like him in his position, people that kind of bounced back and forth between the G League and didn't really have like a super solidified spot on the main roster should definitely play. But Giddey, like he was. Arguably should have been on, first team. He was right on the outside of first team all rookie. I think he made second team, whatever. So like him, I just didn't expect him to play. Jalen Green, don't expect him to play, so I wasn't really surprised. I think that's kind of how it goes. I think those players that are like not on the bubble, because, they're going to be on the team, but just ones that didn't see a lot of time. Or like Trendon, in his case, he actually got injured. He actually played quite a bit. He was undrafted. Made the roster, did well, had an injury kind of late at the end of the season. I think they shut him down. So I think he's just, getting healthy and getting his groove back. And so that makes perfect sense. But, these teams are going to protect their assets. These young guys, you don't want to see, anybody go down and get hurt. And, that's kind of why Paolo, they were like, okay, we've seen enough. Like, let's shut him down because he's, he's our golden ticket. So we can't have him out there, getting hurt. So I think I don't really think too much into it.
Gotcha. Yeah, you mentioned that as the summer league goes on, you want guys that are playing well or have a good showing. Yeah, it happened with Dalen Terry for Chicago. He kind of had a scare there. He like, oh man, did he get hurt? But he pulled his hamstring, or he had a tight hamstring, so he's okay. So yeah,
Shaden Sharp too, right? Shaden Sharp was injured also early, like the first game, like.
And I think that's a guy people wanted to see. So that's kind of like dang, because he just didn't have no college experience. Mm-hmm. And it was like he's a high draft pick. What can he do? So, yeah, that's a little disappointment. Obviously, there was some guys that didn't play. Dyson Daniels had an ankle injury early on, so we obviously wanted to watch him coming out of the G League Ignite. And then Jaden Ivey got shut down pretty early.
Yeah, what do you think of Jaden from what you saw?
Honey, do you have an idea about Jaden?
That backcourt with him and Cade is going to be fantastic. He was good. Use his speed, the shooting. He made shots from the perimeter. Obviously, that's going to be like the swinging skill for him. Mm-hmm. But I thought Jaden was fantastic. He showed that he's going to be a rookie of the year type candidate. He's going to be a really good player in the backcourt with Cade Cunningham. Detroit's a team that's really looking to push and play more in transition. I think he just fits that mold. I think he'll be really good for them. I think Jalen Duran was good. I loved his energy as well. Talking to Detroit as a big man piece, rebounded, block shots, play with a lot of energy. So I love the 2 picks that Detroit had, and I thought I think Ivy just going to fit in perfect with Cade.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. One player I do want to mention, me and Josh were watching, and I really like what Mark Williams is doing for Charlotte. He just like running the floor well, finishing good, just making an impact. He's big. He really like his size is big. I like to see he takes up space. Because you look at some of these guys and they're, oh, he's 6'8", he's 6'9", he's 6'7". Then you see him, you're like, dude, he's small. Like, he doesn't have that impact. But when you look Mark Williams, like, he's going to be pretty good, down the line. I think that was a terrific pick for them.
He had great timing. That's one thing I noticed about Mark. Like, he gets up quick. He is timing them shots. He's altering those shots. And that's huge. Like, you need people that are mobile now in this game. Like, the bigs have to be able to move around, have to be able to, impact defensively. And I really see him as a defensive anchor with the stuff that he did in Summer League.
And he's a great character in that locker room. Charlotte got a lot going on.
Yeah. They need some balance. So I'm happy that Mark's there because they just need help.
Yeah, he did a good job. Overall, it was good to see the fans back. There was a lot of stuff going on. Like you mentioned, Chelsea with WNBA maybe lacked in their activations or executions of it. The NBA Summer League had a lot of things going on. People were asking me, hey, is there a game over here at Mandalay Bay and some other places? I'm like, there's signage everywhere. I go, no, the games are all at Cox and Thomas and Mack. So they just did a good job of promoting it.
Yeah,
promoting it well. It was well attended. Fans are back. So shout out to the Portland Trailblazers. Our guy Trenton Wofford, and then my guy Brandon Williams. I always root for Brandon. He had 22 points in that championship game. Brandon, I haven't spoken to him since he committed to the University of Arizona. He did it at the Ballislife game. And we were trying to keep all these people away. He's trying to turn his phone off because I knew he was going to U of A. He was going to announce it in front of his parents and stuff. So I always root for Brandon. He's like, and then he got hurt. He never really played in college. It's been 3 or 4 years, and so it's good to see him in the swing of things. And I guess that's what Summer League is for, to get guys, see where they're at and get them on track. So shout out to Brandon Williams. I'm glad to see him playing. For a while, it looked like he may not play basketball no more. He got injured right away at U of A, and it was like his career might be over. So happy for Brandon. I always remember that when he was going to pick U of A at the Ballislife game. So I think for that probably wraps us up for Summer League. It's been a great episode. I always appreciate getting on with you guys. Sure. We'll come back. Ani, we'll come back. We'll talk about what we see this week. It's going to go by real fast. Then we'll jump on. Then we'll come back also for the dead period. Be in Vegas, the big time. They'll have some good showcase games. Those will be on ESPNU on July 26th. So maybe we'll jump on the 25th potentially. If not, we'll come back the following week depending on everybody's travel schedule. It's a busy time, and then we'll get into the post summer or start getting ready for the next season. Really, fall leagues, it's going to come by fast. So we appreciate everybody tuning in with us for episode 136. We got to give a shout out to the other podcasts on the Ballislife Podcast Network: Kicks of Your Life, Unapologetic, Noble and Roosh. Appreciate you guys logging on at ballislife.com, checking out the things, the shop.ballislife.com. Store, a lot of cool things on there. Just make sure that you keep using that In the Paint coupon code to get 20% off your first purchase and free shipping. That's INTHEPAINT. So appreciate it, guys. Anything else you guys have going on? Anything to say? I think we're pretty good. We covered a lot of things. Again, we appreciate it. But for now, Ani, Chelsea, and Ronnie, we're logging off. Take care, guys.
Peace.
Bye, guys.